Let's go. Nothing's gonna stop us today. Get on the bus or get out the way. We're cruising with the radio on. So turn it up to 10. Here comes our favorite song. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So I just realized that I kept talking into the air. Apologies for that. I had the mute button on my. Please assume there's no sound. Yes, Alfred, thank you so much. I noticed that. I realized that I hadn't pushed the on air button on my console, so things were not going out. Sorry. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good, wherever you find yourself. This is Demystify Tech with Sam. I'm your truly Samuel Adranyi, bringing you some interesting and demystifying technology to the barest minimum. Like I said, I've been away for a couple of weeks, taking some needed time off and also handling a few things. But in all, despite all that, we're back to learn, to share, to grow together. In today's episode, we'll be taking a look at Azure SignalR, but also it's the last Friday of the month, so we're going to be doing Ask Me Anything. So this is your opportunity to ask me any questions across board or the tech spaces, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my knowledge. If some of your questions pique my interest, we'll try to do them online. We have almost an hour to do this. Welcome, Susu Alfred, joining us from YouTube. Thank you for joining. If you have any comment, please put it in there, and I'll be, more than welcome to answer them for you. So, welcome to another episode. Well, as we saw, the sound is on fire now. Yeah, thank you, Susu. Thank you so much. You guys encourage us to do more. So if you have any questions, don't forget to drop it. But a few things to get started with. So as you always know, I try to, bring you updates in the world of, tech and different things before we get into the main show for the day. So a couple of things, kind of like announcements happening on the Azure space that you should be mindful of. And I'm going to open them because these are resources coming directly from the Microsoft update site or Microsoft Azure site. So you see it for yourself. It's not that I'm making this up or anything, but it's good to let you be in the know of it so that you pretty much prepare for it. Yeah, there are a bunch of announcements that came from Microsoft. So the first one, where is that? Oh yeah, I missed this. So the first of the announcements we're going to be talking about before we shift into answering questions that would come. First one is you need to update all your Azure SDK libraries. What do I mean by the Azure SDK libraries? So Microsoft released SDKs for interacting with Azure through SDKs for I think JavaScript, .NET, and a couple of other languages. Now they are actually you need to update all of it as of, by the end of this month. So let me get this for you. As you can see, not this one, but yeah, but this is where all the updates are coming from. I'll share that with you in a second. So you need to, make sure you updated all your Azure SDK libraries using the very recent ones, because they are, making changes and improving some of it, and depreciating some of the features in the old SDK. So please make sure by the end of this month you should migrate and update to use all the latest ones. So let's get this here so that I can share this with you so we can all take a peek. Let's switch to this. There you go. So it's not someone making it up, but there you have it. So you have to update all your SDK libraries by 31st of March 2023. So as you say, Microsoft is going to retire support for Azure SDK libraries which do not conform to the current guidelines. If you want the guidelines, they are here. I'm actually going to share them. Let me open this and share the guidelines for you, for those that are interested to know where that is. I just pasted it in the chat. So this is the guidelines. So all their SDKs that do not conform to the guidelines, they are updating them, and that means that you should also update yours by the end of this month. All right, so that's the first one that I want to share with you. And most of you don't know that you can actually run WordPress sites on Azure. You can do that on Azure App Service. They release a bunch of updates for that as well, so that is also going to be captured there. Now, one of the very interesting ones for me, which I think a couple of people have asked me, if you've been following Demystify Tech, we have been working with the bot framework composer, and a part of it is to use Azure Q&A maker, which is kind of like a knowledge-based system that's able to extract some cognitive AI stuff from your Q&A or FAQs on your website. Well, it is being retired, right? Now, though it's being retired, it's not completely going away, or it's going to be replaced by a different service pretty much with the same capabilities and even more, which is the custom question answering service. All right, so if you've been doing Q&A and you still have some investment, well, it's being retired. It's going to be supported for a while, by 31st of March 2025, coming like a couple of years. So it will be best for you to start paying attention to, like, exploring it, to start to migrate or change your existing Q&A solutions. And we will be treating this on one of the episodes of Demystify Tech. So we'll be seeing the new things that will be coming with that. So that is the second announcement that I want to bring to you. The third one here is community support for Node 14 long-term support is also ending. Yes. Yeah, community support for Node 14 long-term support is also ending in April this year. So if you have any Azure functions applicable, Azure functions, Azure apps, make sure that app service, you change all that, you update them to a much more recent and supported Node version as well. Yeah, and then a few other retiring or discontinued services in the areas of .NET as well. So they are retiring community support for .NET 5, also in app service. That is also being retired by May. It's going to be, it's not good. The minimum is now going to be .NET 6. So you have to migrate, to .NET 6. All right. So pretty much these are all the announcements I have for you for today. Good thing is that tomorrow I will be hosting some students on .NET, building applications with .NET. I will drop the link. I think they sent me a link. I'll drop the link in chat before the show ends on how to join and learn stuff about .NET. So yeah, pretty much with all the announcements out of the way, like I mentioned today, we're going to take a look at Azure SignalR. We want to know what that is and play around and mess around with it. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. I will try as much as possible to answer those questions for you. Let's see what's happening. Oh, well, people say, someone says I'm not being patriotic. Why? Someone says that I'm not being patriotic. Why would I be, be streaming at this time when Black Stars are playing? Well, yes, I'm a patriotic citizen, but sometimes, the show must go on, irrespective of, stuff. And don't forget, don't worry, if you miss it, it's going to be on demand on the YouTube channel, so you can go watch it and pretty much learn stuff again. But anyway, all the best. Good luck to the Black Stars. I mean, the better side win. Yeah, I think that's all I can say when it comes to the Black Stars. Anyways, yeah. So let's get into it. I know, right? Yeah, I know. People are, so I mean, come on, guys. Don't be too don't be too hard on me. I mean, I try, I try, guys. I try. Well, yeah, let's get into it. So if you have any questions, please drop them as well before we start to explore Azure SignalR. Now, couple of things as well. If you haven't taken notice, Microsoft offers a lot of learning resources on Microsoft Learn, right? Which is a good start for you if you're planning to certify or learn stuff on Azure. The documentations on Microsoft Learn, absolute awesome places to to get started with your tech journey. So yeah, as and when the questions come. So the only thing is that I can take questions. So I can't respond to Facebook questions on my console here because it's just read only based on the multi-stream I'm using, but I'll try to do that from my phone. So pardon me if you see me from time to time looking on my phone. I'm trying to respond to other people asking questions here. So before we get into it, this past couple of weeks I was on a trip with a bunch of people, and shout outs to Heritage Caravan 2022 Bars 2, the Stubborn Academy, the Bars 2 guys, massive awesome people. So I gave a short speech about protecting yourself on the internet with MFA or multi-factor authentication and all that, and some of them were asking, how do you do that, enabling multi-factor authentication on especially your mail client, so Gmail, Yahoo, and all that. I don't know if this would be the good time to do it. I'm thinking, I don't want to pack all that into it, but just stay a bit, in as much as I want to be general today. I'll probably do a different video, which is purposely just to address that, so we can stay on course for today's stuff. So we'll learn. So let's jump right into it. What is SignalR? And we're going to take it from the official Microsoft documentations of what that is. So pretty much SignalR allows you to add real-time capabilities to your applications, whether it's web. I think they have services for mobile as well. You can use SignalR to do that. All right, so asks you to add real-time communications into your web applications. It used to be, I've forgotten the name, it used to be a standalone service, not part of Azure, but they migrated it, made it better and brought it into Azure. The couple of things here I just want us to look at before we explore it, look at how to get started with it, the very simple ways. Let's see if we can show this. Hopefully this will run. Else no, it's going to probably.
So what is the best way to easily add real-time web functionality to an application these days? For things like chat, gaming, dashboards, device-to-device communication, or a myriad of other instances that are made infinitely better with real-time communication. We think it's a little bit of genius called Azure SignalR Service for Microsoft. Azure SignalR Service is specifically designed for those creating applications that need to poll servers multiple times a second for each connection, web or mobile, who prefer to spend their time working on their core business rather than managing back-end infrastructure. And the best part? It's fully managed. No more developing plans for outages, scalability, load balancing, security, or even staffing to address all this stuff. All you have to do is provision it and turn it on. Oh, and because SignalR service is developed for Azure, it works seamlessly with its other platform capabilities, like Azure Functions, for example, locally or around the world. Want to see for yourself? Head on over to azure.com/SignalR and try it, free. You'll be up and running with just a few clicks with Azure SignalR service, only from Microsoft.
Well, yep. So that is their sales, commercial video. So pretty much gives you sums up all what you can do with it. So today we're going to see how to create a very simple service from it. Maybe clone one of the repos and build. The very common use case is building like a chat app or a real-time messaging system. If you've used sockets.io before, some other real-time framework, it's within that same space. So we'll try to do that. Let's take a look at, let's explore it. So a couple of features here. First of all, focusing on your core business. So it's a managed service, which means that Microsoft Azure Cloud takes care of the provisioning, the scaling, and all other things around it rather than you having to think about it. So you just provision the service and then pretty much use it in terms of scalability, maintenance, patches, all that. Azure will handle that for you automatically. Also, it's because it's running on Azure, you can technically connect it to virtually any other Azure service, from IoT Hub, functions, app services. You can integrate it, and then you can use a premium tier, which actually is generally, I think it's in public preview, the premium services tier that allows you to add higher availability, support for some extra security monitoring and a lot of things, right? Now here, I think some customers have used it. We're going to try it ourselves to see how that works. Now there are some possible solution architecture that Azure Microsoft shares for you for almost all their services, and we can take a look at these services. First off, here you can see it's a cross-platform chat, and cross-platform in the sense that it's not restricted to say only on Windows or Linux or Mac, right? It pretty much can be accessed anywhere. And I think I'm leaning towards this cross-platform chat thing for us to test out. So here, very basic. I mean, we're not going to include all the keys, and we'll try to see a very basic use case. But here there is one. And if you look at the second option, the second architecture here, which is instant broadcasting on serverless architecture. So another thing, in leveraging on functions. The backstory is this channel started as Functions Friday, and then we transformed it because it was going to be stuff on Azure Functions and serverless tech, but then we open it up so we can demystify other technologies as well. And then there's also an IoT infrastructure reference here. You know what? Let's explore all these since we're learning a few stuff, and then we'll jump into getting it done. But don't forget, you can drop your questions and I will try to answer them here. Let's see. Anyone? Drop. Okay, let's do this. Great. So let's take a look at the first reference architecture. So it says we'd like to see expanded. So pretty much there is an app service that's going to host, the chat app, which you have as a client app running here. And then you can authenticate. So they have an authentication mechanism also in it. And yeah, so that pretty much uses your key to connect to Azure services, and then it loads the app. Yeah, pretty quite simple, right? We're going to see how to do that, so no stress. Let's look at the second one, which is instant broadcasting on serverless architecture. The same thing. Data is in the blob storage, client application connecting to the SignalR service. So yeah, hosted in a web app. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I can see a lot of integrations going on. And IoT, which is something that I love so much. That's quite crazy. Yeah, pretty much, yeah, so there's a lot of reference architecture for us to take a look at. Anyways, let's get into it. So, security. This I always get almost every time I talk about cloud services. People are like, is the cloud safe? My things will be hacked. And there's a lot of breaches. And I keep using a constant or standard analogy that you can go and buy the most secured security doors with almost, it can be bulletproof, it can be missile proof, whatever that is. If you go and buy that door, you lock it, and you leave the keys under your mat or in the flower pot by the door, and someone comes to take the keys and enter and steals your stuff, would you say that door was never secured? Yeah? All right. No, you wouldn't say that. It is your practice, your negligence of leaving the key or making the key easy to find or access, that is what caused the breach. It's the same thing we find out. A lot of people, do not employ best practices or, industry standards when deploying stuff in the cloud and leaving keys all around and not following, or using certain services that are not managed and to be able to do, let's say, updates and patches for them. So they end up being prone to a lot of things. Yeah, cloud can be interesting. At the same time, if you don't execute it well, it could be a nightmare. That's just the truth. So, just be aware of that. So yeah, Microsoft has invested over $1 billion on cybersecurity research and development. So you can be assured that they have the capacity to help you, build secured environment. Also, they employ almost over 3,500 security experts to work on these and triages in this, kind of threats they find. And they have more certification. So ISO, Cloud Security Alliance, ITAR, CGIS, HIPAA, IRS. So the Azure cloud itself, has a lot of certification and is positioned to make you feel, comfortable enough and secured. So pricing, there are no upfront costs. There's no termination fee. It's a per hour billing. It's more or less like a serverless service. So pay as you use. And then this is where things get interesting for us, getting started. The documentation, I think I've opened it to the side. We can do that again, but this is what we want. So first of all, what you need, you can get, if you don't have an Azure account, I've been talking about this several times. You can create a free Azure account and then start to use it. And then you can learn how to, use the service in some quick tutorials. That's what we'll be trying to do. And then once you do that, you can now go and enhance it and build other stuff. So let's go ahead and do a quick tutorial. Let's see. So this is going to take us to the documentation. As you can see, it's almost the same thing here. Yeah, the same thing here. So I can close this. Yeah. So let's close this. So we're going to go step by step, no rushing, right? So as you can see, we can have quick start using C# on ASP.NET Core, ESP itself, Azure Functions using JavaScript, Azure Functions with C#, Azure Functions with Java, Azure Functions with Python. I know some of you are saying, well, could I do Python on Azure? Yes, you can. You can do Java, Python on Azure. It's not just C#, which is noted to be for Microsoft, but you can do Python and Java, which I think one of the biggest stuff. Then the quick start allow us to take on these things. For the sake of general use case, we will do a starting with JavaScript, right? So there's a quick start which we'll do with JavaScript, and then you can see there are a bunch of tutorials here, building a serverless real-time app with authentication, and then building a Blazor server with chat app. We'll not get into that for the sake of time, but if you're interested in that, the documentation, I think I've dropped it. You can check that out and then go play around with it. It's quite, it's quite interesting to see that. And don't forget, it's still AMA, but we are exploring Microsoft Azure SignalR. So if you have any questions pertaining to real-time applications, cloud applications, any other technology, you can drop it in the chat and I'll try to answer them for you. So I want to say that, Alfred, you don't have any questions, and all of you joining us on all the other platforms don't have any questions. Don't worry, no question is stupid. Any question at all, I will take it. So let's do this. And I can see a lot of people saying, Sam, I am still wicked for putting the show on a day where Black Stars has a match. Guys, trust me. Don't worry, we'll be fine. Oh man. Anyway, so let's do this. So basically we've seen that it simplifies the process of adding real-time functionality over HTTP. That's fine. So here are some scenarios. Let's do this. Here are some scenarios for the use case for Azure SignalR, right? You can see here a high frequency data update. So for gaming, voting, polling, or auction, you can use that because you want to do real-time real-time events and communication. Something along the lines of a dashboard or monitoring, so company dashboard, financial market data, instant sales, multiplayer, leaderboards and stuff, IoT monitoring. So you want your UI to react to when data comes in or to give you some kind of real-time info. Building of chats, so live chat room, chatbots, online customer support, real-time shopping assistant, messaging, in-game chat. So pretty much general chat you can use time. And then things like real-time location on map, you can also use SignalR to do that. Real-time targeted ads, so personalized real-time push ads on an offers and interactive ads, you can do that. Collaborative apps, co-authoring whiteboard apps and team meeting software. So co-authoring, you have a meeting with two people and you're all making changes to one document or, a whiteboard. You can use SignalR to also do that. Then push notifications. So whether it's from social network, email, game, travel alert, you can also use this. Then there's also real-time broadcasting. So whether it is a live audio or video broadcasting, live captioning and translation, you can also leverage real-time broadcast. You can leverage SignalR to do that. So yeah, but you need to be mindful of, the encodings and stuff you use, because we're going to do audio and video. There's a lot more to it, but you can use it for that capabilities. IoT and connected devices, yes, real-time metrics, remote control, real-time status and location tracking. So you could use that in conjunction with IoT Hub to achieve different goals, right? And then automation, so real-time triggers for upstream events, right? I think we talked about this, some of the benefits using it. So SignalR produces an abstraction over a number of techniques. So before, I'm trying to remember the name. It had another name, but then I think David Fowler and his team rewrote it from ground up, made it a lot more robust and other features. So, but the base of it is WebSocket, right? So it uses WebSocket to do that, and then also there's server-side events, in the mix somewhere. There's a native support for .NET Core. There are a lot of broad client support, like we see, as there's C SDKs, there's .NET SDKs, JavaScript SDKs, which we've seen on the site. So we're using one of them. Now, I can also handle large-scale client connection. So you can use it to pretty much have a pool of a large number of users or, connected in real time for real-time communications. And then what they've done is that they've removed the bedding to self-host it and put it in a service for you. So ideally, such real-time WebSocket things, you probably would have to run it on some server or service to manage that for you, and then you make that communication and turn it through it. But the service allows you to do that. So two ways. You can do a self-hosting, which you put in your own environment, or you can use the managed services which Microsoft Azure provides you as an Azure SignalR service. So you can use it as, whichever way works for you. They're not restricting you to it. But then if you want peace of mind in managing, just go for managed service and just know your use cases on how to use it, right? All right. So different ways to get, to program it. Like I said, you can use .NET Core. You can use it serverless using functions. There's Java. There is Python. All right. But in our case, we want to go ahead and do a quick start using JavaScript. And this is run. It's going to be, I think it's going to be hosted within an Azure function, which is a serverless offering. Right. So let's see. What do we need? It says that. So in this, we're going to see how it's easy to add a real-time functionality to application and Azure Functions, which is a serverless platform. So let's run our code the serverless way, and let's see how we can use SignalR service and Azure Function to build a serverless application with JavaScript to broadcast messages to clients. Does that sound like fun? Yeah, we have almost like 30 minutes. Hopefully we should be able to do that. So prerequisites, we're going to get all the codes in from GitHub. Awesome. I like that. We're going to clone it, make changes, and see how that works. So we're going to need a code editor, Visual Studio Code. We have that already. Azure account, I have that. Then you're going to need the Azure Functions Call to version 2 and above used to run Azure Functions apps locally. Yes. I think I have that already, but we'll just go through the process of installing it. I think I have Node version manager, so I can always switch to any of the versions they want. The example should work with other versions of Node. Azure Functions runtime documentation will show us. And this quick starts can be run on macOS, Windows, and Linux. This is cross-platform thanks to that. So you can, whether you're using Windows, Linux, or Mac, you can run this example. I'll be using a Windows. I but I have a Mac. I'm just my day-to-day stuff. I do most of it on the Windows. I'll go with that. But you can also go with the Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. So, yeah. Still pausing for questions if you have any. It could be related to SignalR. It could be related to something else. If you have it, just ask away, and I would try to answer it for you. Yep. Okay, so let's get into it. So we need to log on to our Azure portal, which I think is a common thing most of you have seen me do on the show. So we're going to log into it, create an instance of a SignalR service. And then they're giving us, they're asking us to provide certain resources. You see, so there's a free tier. That's the thing I keep telling you about Azure. You can always run Azure services for free, test things out. Yeah, and then once that is done, we're going to, after instance deploy, open and locate the settings page, and then we're going to, so we're going to do a couple of things. All right, so let's go. So let's go ahead and do this. Let me open my Zoom it, so I can be zooming in and zooming out, so you guys can see that. If you have any questions, you can drop it. I think this is a time where I need to find some very cool background music and be playing it, whilst I'm making the changes, you see, because I think it feels a little dull. I don't know what you guys think, but you can just drop it in the chat. Yeah, if you have any comments and questions, kindly drop it for me. So do you have any questions for me? I will answer. If I don't know it, I'll go and find out. Or I'll pull the necessary people to come in and answer the question for me. So don't be worried. I don't know everything, I don't know it all. I don't claim to know it all. It's all how do you call it? I don't think I have any subscription for this account, but I just want to test something. I know I already have how do you call it? I have an account, Azure account I use, but I have so many of them. But this one, I'm not sure I have a subscription, but we'll see. Let's try it. If the subscription, if it doesn't work, we just switch to another account that has a subscription, we use it. So basically, this is your portal. So you click on create resources here, and then there we go. And all I have to do here is in here typing SignalR. If you don't see it, you can also pin it. So click on search. This is going to open up, and you can enter. You can look at it showing. Bam, 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 bam. There you go. So there's SignalR service here. There you go. So you click here, and I can just favorite it so that anytime I have to come back to it, I can easily come back to it. So let's see that. Okay. Okay. So we have the SignalR service. That's what we want. So we can go ahead and click on create. Let's see, like I said, I know I don't have you see, so I told you that I know that I don't have any okay, let me see if it's going to allow me to start this thing. This is like, it's going to give me a free trial within it, in as much as I would want to continue with this, so it wouldn't make sense if it's just, anyway, it's free, so we can do that, no worry. Just that it's going to take a lot of my time. Who likes that? Anyways, let's see. It's going to take me through a process in signing me up for a free Azure account, but I already have an Azure account. So this is what I would do. Let's see. Let's do this. Let me just, let me just go into the Azure account I already have. So we save ourselves some time. So let's sign out. All right. But then let's sign in with something else. Yeah, so let me use. Oh yeah, I want to sign out of this account. We're going to use a different account. So let's see. Yeah, it's taking a while to get rid of, but I think what well, I'm not following the football, but I hope it's going well. Let's see. Okay, so the Azure function call tools v1, v2, v4. So v1, so Windows only. So they recommend v4. So let's see this Azure function call tools to download and install. So v4, they recommend you do we get the v4. All right. So whilst that's happening, let's see, to install with npm. So what do we do? Do we do npm or let's do MSI? If we do an MSI, you know what? I think we should just go at let's just go ahead and use currently 0 currently 0. Okay, thank you so much for the update. So we see those that are multitasking and potentially going to miss the things I'm going to say. Anyway, thank you for the update. So let's do this. All right. All right. Let's get this done. Okay, so let me open this up. Let's open the terminal. We're gonna go with the npm route. All right. So let's get this started. Let's go with this. So we're going to do version 4. So let's copy this here. And there you go. npm install globally. Azure Functions Call Tools at 4 and say perms true. So that should get it into our system, and then we should have it. I'll use MSI so I can easily run an update from here. So while this is happening, it says that there's an issue looking really. Come on. All right, let's see. Okay, the installation is happening. Downloading Azure Functions Call Tools. All right. Okay, so it looks like I think I changed this to use passwordless entry. Yes, I knew it. So I was going to be like, I don't think I remember the password for this, but I think I used the passwordless entry. So yep, it's going to pop up on my phone, and then I have to approve it here, and there we go. Solid. We are in. We are in. Okay. We're waiting for it to load. Okay. It's loaded. Yeah, there's some optimization, but hey, not voter workstation. Yes. Yep. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I got some coins here. I got some money. All right, let's do this. Good, solid. So collect. Yeah, so we're pretty much done. So I just close this for the while and restart it so we can we can get that going. So yeah, so this is done. Do we have to install anything else? I think we're good. So if you're doing Linux or Mac, there's also the same, the steps are there for you to go on. And these are the samples. So this is the Azure Functions code. So prerequisite. So this, we're going to use a JavaScript option. So you can see the call tools and node, and then we need to run this locally. So pretty much we'll just clone this, run it, and then make the modifications on it. All right, so let's go ahead. So this is how you create it in your Azure portal. All right, so you would go to create resource up here, and then we'll again do SignalR, and when that pops up, we'll just select it and create one. So they pretty much put some things here. So give it a unique name. You pick the subscription you want to, put it in a resource group you want, choose a region, West US. They're suggesting this. Use a free tier, no unit count, use a serverless mode, for which you'll use the Azure Functions or REST API, and pretty much that'll be it. And then we will start, we'll start and run it. So let's go here and just create that process. So SignalR, I'm going to favorite it. I'm going to create a service here. Just pretty much going through that process. Yeah. This sounds like something interesting. Ha. Okay, so it's loaded now. So the subscription, yeah, that's all the subscription I have here. Resource group, I think I have one for yet. Demystify Tech. I'll put it in that resource group since the show we're doing it on Demystify Tech. The resource name, let's call it let's call it Demystify. Let's say Demystify some. No, let's just call it Demystify Tech. Yeah. And West US, that's it. We're using unit count. Hold on. We were told to leave the unit count to the default, so we're not touching it. And then the tier, pricing tier. So this is it. Let's change the pricing tier. We're going to use free. So click on the change. And these things, if sometimes you might not see them, they're a bit small down there. So if I should show you this now. So these are the, let's do this again. There you go. Yeah, so you can see the free dev test only up to 20 connections. That's fine. We're just testing it. It includes 20,000 messages per day. You can have additional messages not supported. You can do SSL if you want to. So if you see standard gives you up to 1,000 connections per unit. You can have to 1 million messages a day per unit. Additional messages, you can have unlimited additional messages. They have an SLA for this. They don't have an SLA for dev test. It's free anyway, so you can just test things around. And premium, as you can see, premium gets higher SLA. You can use custom domain, auto scale. You can do all those crazy things. For us, we're just testing it out. So let's go with a free tier and then select. All right, so you can see we're using the free tier. We don't need a unit. And then the service mode, we're going to use the serverless, right? We're going to use the serverless. And then we just go to next. Yeah, it's a public endpoint. We can all connect to it. I'm not tagging it. Tagging allows you to, in terms of resource grouping and, some reporting, tagging really helps you. So that's it. Review and create. So it's going to validate everything to make sure that we are good. And if that's the case, it will just tell us, yeah, it's all good. Then I'll just click on create. So just wait for that to be creating in the background. In the meantime, let's come here. So after we've created it, start deploying the instance. So after the instance is deployed, we should open it in the portal, locate the settings, and then change the service mode to serverless only if you are using yeah. So we already have that. Yeah, we're using the service, so we're going to use the functions. Leave it in classic or default or otherwise. No, that's fine. So if we're using Azure, we're using a service, so we're going to leave it that. We are okay with that. All right. So make sure you have Azure Functions Core. We've installed that, and create an empty directory and navigate to the directory. So let's go and do this. So remember, we install this. So let's open this up. Let's open this up and have some fun. We have about like 14 minutes. Hopefully we can pull this off. Don't worry. We will pull it off. So let's go here. CD dev. Let's make a directory here called Signal. We'll call it SignalR. And then let's change to SignalR, and then in SignalR, let's make another directory. All right, and call this demo. Then let's change to demo. All right, cool. So now we are in demo of this. Solid. Are you with me? And then in here, we're going to call the functions to locally start or initiate a functions runtime. All right. So don't forget that. Quite basic. I think this is just quite, straightforward. Yeah, don't worry. We'll do a lot of copy and paste, then run it, and we'll test it out, and then we'll see the fun. So ideally, I think we could also, I think it's all here. So broadcast, content, negotiate. I think we could also have done the same thing here, but so you see, so we just set up, and so we probably would have changed a few things and run. But you know what? Don't worry. Let's go with this. Let's go with a step by step. It's all good for us. So let's go ahead. Let's run this. So we're initializing a functions project in there, as you can see. So that has created it. So if you do DR now, you see there is a whole package, local setting host, and all that, shown in there. So if I switch to use Visual Studio Code and move into code right now, you would see all these folders and stuff. But let's go on. We are good students. So so after you initiate, you need to create the functions. In this sample, we need to create 3 functions. So first of all, we're going to run to create a new function. So here you can see we're creating a new function with an index, which is of an HTTP trigger type. All right, HTTP trigger type. So let's copy this. And you can also use Visual Studio Code to have done this. Or I think I've done this before. So don't feel this is something weird. All we're doing is adding an HTTP trigger function called index in the same location. Once that is done, you see that if you do another DRL, that is going to add it to the list of files you see up there. Yeah, just waiting. I hope people have not made crazy bets. Oh my. People have made bets. We shall see. Anyway, so open the index function.js file and just make the changes in require get post. So this is pretty much the bindings for the function, right? So all it's saying in the configuration is that in terms of authentication, anonymous function, anybody can access it. It's of an HTTP trigger type. let me show. I'm just trying to explain this so people don't feel lost. This is what I'm trying to explain: the bindings or the settings for this first function in the index. So auth level means anonymous. Anonymous simply means anybody can access. There's no protection to the function. It's of an HTTP trigger type, which means this function is going to be invoked or triggered when an HTTP request is received to a particular endpoint. So this is an in binding. All right. It has a request, so you can pass request options through it, and it's going to be, you can access it using the get or the post. And then there is another binding of a type HTTP, which is out. So, and it has a parameter response. So which means when you call for this function, has an input an input binding and an output binding. So the input is HTTP, and then it returns an HTTP response as an output response for you. So it's just making it yeah. Let's see if this is done. Yep, it's done now. So you see that now. Let's do this again. If I do dir, now do you see that it's added an index folder? And in this index folder, right? In this index folder, you see the function. So let's go ahead and now invoke Visual Studio Code by typing code dot in this folder. And that's going to open the folder for me in Visual Studio Code. And we can do the rest of the interesting things in Visual Studio Code. And Visual Studio Code provides you IntelliSense as well. So we could have done all that, created the functions and all that with IntelliSense help from Visual Studio Code. So as you can see from here, it's pretty much the same thing, right? So if I open the index up, there you go, function.json. Again, we've seen this already. And then this here, the index. So this is where the logic is going to be. So this is a default. What you're seeing here is just the default logic, right? Which says it's anytime you run this function, it's just going to log the function has been triggered if you call it, and then it tries to look for a name in a parameter name in the query or in the body of your request, and then what it does is it generates a response message which concatenates the name you pass into it. If you didn't pass it, it was just, it's going to look for it in different places and just return it to you. But that's not what we want to do. So we wanted to do something else. And that is what this code is going to do here. So I'm going to copy this code, right? I'm going to copy this code here and then paste that in the index. So let's go. So this here, we're going to, so you see, it's detected Azure Functions project in a folder that may have been created outside Visual Studio Code. So do you want to use that for optimal use? Yeah, why not? Yeah, I'll just do that. And then I'll just close this. Right. So yeah, but we're going to replace all this with this. And if you've been doing Node, you should be familiar with this, right? So pretty much we're calling the FS, the FS module, the file system, and then we are now leveraging missing semicolon. As you can see, Charlie, the code is telling me to write good code and punching holes in the code. I know, right? Yeah, missing semicolon. Yeah, this allows me to create clean and reusable code. So don't worry, I have all that covered. Yeah, solid. So, and it's probably going to tell me to use constant. You're placing a declaration. So I've probably use let and all that. This will change it. So let's use let. There you go. Solid. Update user functions call to the latest. Yeah, go ahead and let's update it. So, yeah, as you can see, the IntelliSense that Visual Studio Code is providing me. I'm running that as well. Yeah. Oh, 6 minutes. No. Well, this is getting interesting. Started as an AMA. Which extension is that? It looks cool. Which of the extensions? Is this the one that is giving the fire? Is this one that's giving the fire one, or which one? So which of the extensions? Tell me which of the extensions. What? Functions call tools are 2. No, we did an update. We did an update. Yes. Oh, the one that's yeah. So it's where's that? It's not on my push. It's oh so. Don't worry. I'll find it for you. I'll find it for you. The fire one, yes. Hold on. Let my trust me, I'll get it for you. Hold on. Let this finish and then I will try to pull it out for you. Okay. It usually shows actually, you know what? Yeah, let me reduce this. It usually shows up here for me. It's something fire that I do in the settings. Hold on. It's some it's some fire. It's on fire settings. Bum, 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 bum. Let me see. It's in my somewhere in the text editor. Yeah, it's actually an extension and I set it up so anytime. Don't worry, I'll get it for you. Trust me, I'll get it for you. Let's get this sorted. Else it means we'll have to do part 2. Hopefully this is done somewhere here. npm install. Okay, so Azure functions call to collect. Okay, so that's it. So we're done. All right, so I can close this. Solid. Fine. So if you look at this carefully, we're just bringing in file system with a promise and the same module. So what we do is that the part is we get the execution contents of the directory where the files are, and we are reading a file from a file path, and we set it to the type is an HTML file. Okay, and we're setting the body to that file. So pretty much you are saving. So what it's doing is it's just saving that file. So I think it's going to save some HTML files. So okay, let's go ahead. Let's go look at this. All right. Yeah, so we need to create a negotiate function for clients to get access tokens. All right, so as you can see, and this is a SignalR negotiation trigger. So this is creating a new function. All right, and then it's using Signal. So let's try this, and it's called negotiate. So we saw how to create this using the CLR. All right, and we do function new, the name, and then the trigger type. Right, if from Visual Studio Code, we can also do the same thing. Okay, so let's close this. So in here, right, you have an index. You could actually do Control-Shift-P if you're doing Windows, and then you do function. You see, Azure function, create function, right? And so you see, initialize project for use with Visual Studio Code. We've already done this. Anyway, no worry. I'll click on yes. Yes. I'll click on this, and then I'll try this again. So we have the index function. So let's do the Control-Shift-P, and then create the function. Oh, come on. Why is it? Yes, I've initiated it. Oh, well, that's because it's not seeing the project. Hold on. Good. So there you go. Yeah. So it's okay. It was initializing it. Sorry, in the background. So now it will ask me select a template for the function. It's loading it. It's loading it. Yeah, there you go. And then what we want to do is a SignalR, right? So let's see. Does it have SignalR here? All right. So it's not having. I think I need to update I need to update the tools because the new update has SignalR. So here you would have seen the template. So you see the first one was HTTP, there's a time trigger, there's a blob storage. So there should have been a SignalR one here, which is not here, right? So don't worry. So let's go back to it, but I would update it and then maybe in subsequent ones to do. So let's go back. Let's clear this. Let's open this up in the terminal. Expand this a bit and let's go here. Yep. So let's copy this. And it's top of the hour. Okay, no, we can do it here. But I want us to continue to do anything all from here. So, well, let's see if we can steal a few minutes just to get this. And there you go. So it's created it, and you can see now we have a negotiate folder here. And the same thing, it would have a function JS here. I can close this, I can open it. So here again, this is the bindings. There's a post to this. There's a name, there's a route called negotiate. Type HTTP dashing out, and then you can see the connection for all this, all the cool stuff about the bindings, right? Now let's see what it's asking us to do. Okay, so open and copy the following JSON code. Why are we copying? Okay, let's be sure that, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, negotiate in connection, pretty much that's it. And then we need to create a broadcast function. Okay, good. I think we can do this from here. So with the broadcast function is a time trigger, which means it would happen at certain intervals, right? And it's going to be called broadcast. So let's see. Let's try this from Visual Studio Code. Okay, so let's go ahead. So as you can see, I think this is all fine. Let me just be sure, so we are not messing anything up. So I'm just going to move this here a bit. So as anonymous, an HTTP trigger in post request negotiate HTTP address signal connection info default. Good. So you see so here the hub name is not default. So that is a difference. So the hub name here is going to be serverless. So there you go, serverless, right? Yep. So let's make sure I got it right. Serverless, good. And then Azure SignalR connection string, and then there's an in. Yep. So that's how we change. Now, if you remember when we're creating the instance in the Azure portal, we chose serverless. So that's why we're changing the hub name to use it, because we're going to bring in that settings here. So pretty much that's just let me be sure there's nothing crazy, and copy the following code. Let's see. Yeah, I think we copied and pasted it, so that's fine. Get post. So let's look at the index again, so we know we are not doing anything fancy and crazy. Yeah, I think we're good here. All right. Then we're supposed to create a third one called broadcast. And that's a time trigger, right? So that's what I'm saying, that instead of using the CLRs we're doing, this time let's try from Visual Studio Code. So Control-Shift-P, and then you do create Azure function. And then you see this one is a timer. So I'll select the timer trigger. It would ask me for the name. This is called broadcast. And then so it's, let's say, so this is not yeah, so 5 slash, how many is that's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah. So let's do this. There you go. So we have another asterisk. Yep. And there you go. Because it's a timer, we're setting how often or regular this function should run. So in here, so the same thing, this has been created, but If you open broadcast and you look at the function, let's be sure we have the same thing here. So it's my timer. It's a timer trigger in with, I think, 5 seconds. Good. And this time around, we needed to add one more binding. One more binding here. Let's copy this. Yeah, I think we need to update because we're doing SignalR. So the bindings, comma, and let's add this. So it's a SignalR binding, SignalR messages, serverless, Azure connection string, and this is out. So we're adding another binding to it. So this has 2 bindings. So yeah, because, so I just noticed something, that because we don't have the updated one, we have to modify the code a bit. They are using the more recent one, so I'll update it after the show so that we don't drag it. All right. Yeah. So then the broadcast.index.js, this needs to change to, let's copy this. Let's quickly replace this. And yeah, we'll probably have to fix this a bit. Yeah, my auto. Let's see. Okay, so I think let's leave it here for today. We've gone 6 minutes into the time. Lately, I'm trying to keep to time. So we're going to do part 2 of this next week. So next week is not going to be an EMA. Next week is going to be the Azure SignalR part 2. And then we're going to continue from here to do this step. So if this felt like something you really want to do with me every week, please make sure you subscribe for me over here. Subscribe, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, ask friends to subscribe, and make sure you post your questions that you have so that, you know, we can answer that for you. With that said, enjoy the rest of your evening. If yours is just starting, be safe. Let's make the world a better place through tech. I'm yours truly, Samuel Adranyi, and I am out.